today we're going to be learning how to solve and evaluate expressions and variables. So everybody should be in their textbook on page 5. Everybody see page 5? All right. Okay, so before we get into the lesson, we do need to talk about some vocabulary. You don't have to write this down. You'll see these terms in your books or your handouts. So you can just read along with me. A variable, okay, it can be any letter that is used to represent one or more numbers. A variable expression consists of numbers, variables, and operations. What's an operation? Add, subtract, multiply, divide are 4 basic operations. Very good. And then to evaluate simply means to solve. So whenever you see these terms, you need to be familiar with what they mean. Now, in example 1, here's some of the terms already. Evaluating expressions. So what I'm doing is I'm solving these expressions. Well, to start with, and in your notes, you always have to write the original problem. Now, you'll see in this first example, we have 4 times D, but we use the little dot. We are going to shy away from that, and we're going to write multiplication with a variable and a number just by writing them next to each other. The dot can be confused for a decimal, and that's why we just write the number and the variable together. So everybody with me, I'd like you to go ahead and just write, copy down on your notes, 4D. We're going to make our substitution 4 times. What's the value for D here? 120. Okay. And then we're going to evaluate like it asks us to do. And 4 times 120 is? Anybody know? 480. All right, so 3 steps here. Original problem, substitution, and then boxed answer. All right, so in the next problem, again, original problem, 5x. We make our substitution. Do we write 59? Will we plug in 9 for x? No, we must separate it because we know that a number and a variable next to each other show multiplication. So we have to separate it using parentheses. We all use parentheses, right? No, don't use the dot. All right, just use parentheses. And then 5 times 9 is 45. All right, now on the third one, evaluate C divided by 4 when C equals 36. Okay, so original problem, substitution, and Mason, what's the answer? 9. Very good. Good job. All right, questions on example 1. Okay. All right, let's move on to example 2 now. Now with example 2, it's basically the exact same thing as example 1, except now we have 2 variables instead of 1. So we're making 2 substitutions. In the first part, in the left column, it says evaluate the expression when x equals 10 and y equals 4. So again, in your notes under example 2, you need to write this first expression, x plus y, as your original problem. Then we will substitute 10 plus 4, and then box our answer, which is 14. All right, now in example B, remember, you must put the parentheses, okay? So everybody remember to put your parentheses to show multiplication. It's not 104, it's 10 times 4. Use parentheses, and 10 times 4 is 40. All right, who got that right? Anybody get it right ahead of time? Good job. Okay, second column, evaluate the expression when A equals 40 and B equals 5. Again, original problem, A over B. Let's make our substitution and then box our answer, 8. All right, so AB tells us what? AB tells us that it's multiplication. So I have 40 times 5 divided by 5. So 200 divided by 5, which is 40. All right, who got it right? Anybody get it right ahead of time? Good job. Okay, so now I want you to try some. Your turn now, page 6, numbers 1 through 4. You go ahead and try those. I'll give you a few minutes, and then we'll go over the answers. All right, so let's go over the answers real quick. Again, and I looked at most of your papers. Just make sure you look at, or that you plug in the substitution and you box your answer. You guys did awesome on that. Good job. All right, now in example 3, before we do example 3, I actually need to go back into our notes and go over some key words with you real quick. Okay, now when we're writing variable phrases, it's important to know what words mean what operation. So what operation is connected to these key words? This is just like a little quiz, see how much you know. All right, what about plus? What operation is that? Addition, very good. Difference of? Subtraction, product. Multiplication, quotient. Division, minus. Subtraction, total. Addition, times. Multiplication. Now you're going to want to write these last 3 down in your notes. The exceptions to that rule. Now with most of these, I'm just going to write my expression exactly how it looks in the phrase, left to right. But whenever I see the words more than, less than, or fewer than, I'm actually going to flip the order that I write my expression. You're going to see exactly what we mean when we do the next example in some of those problems. All right, so anyway, so go ahead and write down those exceptions for the vocabulary. The rest of them you should see in the chart right there in your books. Okay, so now let's go back to our example 3. So now we're going to translate these phrases into expressions. We're not necessarily solving for anything. We're just translating the phrase into an expression. Now you see in the first one it says the product of 15 and a number. Does anybody see the operational key word there? What tells me what operation it is? I heard it. Product, right? Product means to multiply. But do I put my multiplication sign first? No. Where I see the word and is where the multiplication sign goes in that expression. It's joining the variable and the number together. Do you see that? Okay, so product right at the beginning tells me what operation. Where I see the word and, that's where I insert it. But 15 and a number, remember, how do we write a number multiplied by a variable? How did I tell you? You just put them together. Yeah, you just put them together. You don't need the dot in between. You don't need parentheses. You just put them together as 15n. 15n. Now in the second one, again, what's my operational key word? Difference of. So I'm subtracting. But I don't start with a subtraction sign. Where am I going to insert it? Where I see the word and. Now, on your homework, you don't have to circle them and draw the arrows, but you can if it helps. If it helps you, then you can do that. All right, so then 20 minus 12. And actually, technically, we could solve that. We could evaluate it, couldn't we? What's 20 minus 12? 8. All right. Okay, let's look at the third one now. Do you remember what I said about flip the order? What's the operational key word in this one? Fewer than. Fewer than. So now, fewer than, I'm actually taking the number from the variable. So instead of writing it how I'm reading it, it's not 6 minus n, it's n minus 6. I'm taking 6 from that number. So make sure anytime you see fewer than, more than, or less than, that you flip the order that you write the expression. All right, now I want to give you just a minute to try to do the last 2 on your own. Okay, so twice a number. Anybody have any idea how I write twice a number? Amelia?
Is it n parentheses n and then plus 20?
Okay, that's close. Twice a number would be 2 times a number, right? So that would be 2n plus, so that's an addition sign, 20. Anybody get it? 2n plus 20? Okay, so sometimes those can get a little trickier. All right, so 2n, twice a number, is written 2n. So what if I said 3 times a number? How would you write it? 3n. What if I said 6 times a number? That would be 6n. Very good. All right, what about the last one, a number divided by 6? How would I write that? Anybody?
N over 6.
N over 6, very good. I could write it n over 6 or n divided by 6. Either way, n divided by 6 or n over 6. All right? And let's see here. If you understand that, that's everything you need to know for 1.1.